And our active weather coverage, yes, it continues here on the Weather Network. We are seeing strong lines of thunderstorms making their way through southern Ontario, up along the 400 as well, in towards Barrie and Midland, even further north. Let's say you're camping up at Killbear. Yes, you're seeing those widespread rains. Now, with these storms, we are watching for some possible hail, lightning, strong winds also associated with them as well. I was looking at your pictures on Twitter through Guelph. Some strong winds whip through here, and yes, trees down in the area, branches down. So these are posing some concerns, that's for sure. So as we take a look at our radar right now, where we see the darker reds, the darker yellows, that's where we are looking at some of the heavy downpours. But we can see this is quite widespread from Orangeville heading up in towards Midland and then even further north as you travel along the Georgian Bay. Now, let's also take a look at more of a widespread shot of our radar. We can see, again, some stronger cells now making their way in towards the greater Toronto area. Looks like they're just on the cusp of Burlington, and we can see those heavy downpours associated with that, strong winds as well. So again, a very active night. It looks like London, you are in a little bit of a clearing now as some of those stronger storms have passed through. Now I want to show you what it looked like in Windsor. This was some video taken earlier, and wow, this was from today per hour. Lots of damage in the area, unfortunately. Now, let's draw our attention back to the radar. We can see, again, widespread active weather along the 401, heading in towards Kingston, up in towards Ottawa. Widespread rains. That's what we are talking about. Now, let's get into your personalized forecast for the city of Toronto. Through the overnight, yes, it looks like the showers will be lingering. Now, probably not steady rain throughout the night, but we could be seeing that again on and off, not ruling out a chance of some thunderstorms. Now in towards tomorrow, Thursday morning, 19 degrees, so fairly nice as we are starting off the morning. Have you noticed the humidity? It's slowly starting to creep in. And unfortunately, along with that, well, that brings a risk of some storms, non-severe, a lot of energy in the atmosphere. The risk has pushed a little bit more further east, but the greater Toronto area still included in that. More on the active weather coverage that's coming up here on the Weather Network. Well, thanks so much for joining us this evening. Rachel Schoutsen joining you live right now. And yes, we are talking about the active weather. We are talking about some heavy downpours, some strong winds, some tornado warnings that already happened. They have ended. They were in place for Barrie and surrounding areas as we did see a water spout making its way inland. Now, it did weaken, which is the good news, but it just goes to show the potential of some active weather that we are seeing throughout this evening. So we are looking for the darker reds and the yellows, and that is indicating some very heavy downpours, but we can really see these widespread rains moving further north. So let's say you're up around Killbear Provincial Park camping. I know, trying to enjoy the last few weeks of August. Well, this is the unsettled weather that is approaching, and it has been hitting throughout this afternoon and now in towards this evening. So travel along the 400. Yes, that is impacted by these storms right now. Now, as we take a look down in towards the greater Toronto area, we can see a pretty organized line of thunderstorms making their way in towards Burlington, towards Oakville, Brampton also getting hit by those storms right now. I know a lot of you commenting on Twitter, you're hearing those rumbles of thunder, just lightly raining right now. And yes, it does look like this line of thunderstorms is about to just sweep the greater Toronto area. Now I want to show you, let's put your eyes on the ground. This is what some of these storms were looking like earlier today. This is exactly what we are bringing you with our radar returns. A live look here, and this is more widespread. So this is what we are dealing with coming in towards the greater Toronto area. But then we can see jumping further east, some more activity happening out in towards Kingston, up in towards Ottawa as well, along the 401. Not the best time for travel. Sorry, kids, if you had the soccer game tonight, might have been canceled, especially with the lightning. Earlier, we were showing you our lightning returns as well, and really concentrated around the 400, stretching up in towards Barrie. Now, taking a look at this, Toronto through the overnight, the rain should be lingering around. Unfortunately, probably not steady rains throughout the whole night, but they will be on and off, dipping down to 18 degrees. Starting you off tomorrow, Thursday, 19, and we will see a clearing for the morning. So the good news there, a mix of sun and cloud, but the risk of storms, it will be widespread throughout tomorrow. So we can see it has shifted a little bit further east now. So out of the Niagara area, stretching up in towards Montreal, that's where we are seeing the right ingredients for some storms. Have you felt the humidity? It's slightly just building back in. So again, this unsettled pattern continues. Widespread, we are looking around 15 to 30 millimeters. Now stay with us here. Our live coverage on these storms, it continues right here on the Weather Network.
Go.
Lots more to come right here as well as we continue to track these storms making their way through Ontario, through parts, let's say, north of Barrie and towards Cottage Country, also down in towards the Greater Toronto area as well. Rachel Schoutsen here with you, and let's take a look at our radar right now. So we're looking for those yellows and those reds. That's where we are seeing some of the heaviest downpours happening. So again, widespread rains right now, and they're moving right through Barrie and up in towards Gravenhurst, even further north in towards some of the provincial parks. So camping right now, not happy campers, I'll say that. Now, again, we could be seeing some embedded hail with this, also some very gusty winds. I have been looking at some photos on Twitter of some trees and some branches hanging onto the street, some completely knocked down, so we do have to be cautious with this. Now, right through this area, Stratford, they were into the storms earlier today, and we are seeing an organized line of thunderstorms moving in towards the Greater Toronto area. Just talking with our meteorologist, it looks like this line is weakening. However, it's still going to be bringing some rain and some fairly strong winds. I actually was just checking out our traffic cameras throughout the Gardiner and the Don Valley Parkway, and it's just lightly raining, just that spitting rain. A lot of you have been commenting about the thunder and the rumbling that you can hear through Brampton and through Cambridge. So yes, this is exactly this line here. That is what's coming for you. That's what's creating the disturbance right now. So as we take a look at an even wider spread picture of some of this active weather, we can see it really is widespread across the GTA right now. So right out of the Greater Toronto area, up in towards Cottage Country, and then again, a lot of moisture happening along the 401, stretching out in towards Bowmanville, through Kingston, through Ottawa as well. So yes, active weather definitely happening through Ontario. I'll say that right now. Now, as we take a look at your personalized forecast throughout the city of Toronto, through the overnight, you can expect the showers to linger on, dipping down to 18 degrees. Can you feel the humidity coming back in? Feels pretty good, doesn't it? And in towards Thursday morning, a clearing and getting up to 19. Now, stay with us. More on the active weather will continue. Natalie Thomas will be joining you next with more on the storms throughout Ontario.
For your
and the Arctic adventures in our top 5. Rachel Schoutsen here with you this evening. And yes, the prairies may be feeling like the Arctic. The temperatures really on the decline as a cold front pass through. As we take a look at Ontario, the muggy conditions, they will continue on through early next week. And that's because the humidity, it will continue to build. Now, getting in towards the long weekend, unfortunately, that cooler air comes back down in towards the Greater Toronto area. So if you love the humidity, enjoy it now. Now, let's take it outside to Nathan Coleman. He filed a report earlier this week, and I want to warn you, this report contains some video of snow. All right, students, cross your fingers for those snow days in December and January. Now, let's get through the overnight tonight. The cold front continuing to move through the Greater Toronto area. This could be bringing some rain through the overnight, and unfortunately, that unsettled pattern, it does continue. Now, stay with us here at the Weather Network. We're going to saw some rain through the overnight, also a possibility of those thunderstorms, and that same weather, the same pattern, it's going to linger for tomorrow as well. So let's take a look at this. This is the risk of non-severe storms. The widespread risk, it has shifted more a little bit further east. So now London through the Greater Toronto area, stretching up in towards almost Ottawa. So this is where we are seeing the right ingredients, unfortunately, to see some of that active weather. Now, how much rain are we talking about? Widespread, less than 15 millimeters of rain, but some areas where we see in those brighter greens, they could be getting into that 15 to 30 millimeter mark, and of course, a lot more if the thunderstorm does pass through. Now, I know you're already thinking about the weekend, so let's focus right on that. Unfortunately, an unsettled pattern for Saturday and Sunday. By no means an all-day washout, a mix of sun and cloud, but rain, light showers could. Now, More top 5 coming up here on the Weather Network, and this is the weather that is coming up for Thursday. Well, we are taking a look at, unfortunately, some more rain lingering around for the Greater Toronto Area, a risk of storms, also fair conditions, pretty good out through the Atlantic provinces. Now stay with us. Now this has not been confirmed as a tornado, but from the looks of it, it does look like that is touching the ground. Now we did have tornado warnings in place today for the city of Barrie and surrounding areas. We did see some very strong, potent cells pop up throughout southern Ontario. Guelph was an area, Brampton, Cambridge, some very active weather. Rachel Schoutsen joining you this evening. And let's take a look at the risk of storms throughout tomorrow. So what we saw today, yes, we could be having a repeat throughout Thursday as well. The difference is the risk of the non-severe storms, it has shifted a little bit more further east. So Windsor not included in it. It's London through the Greater Toronto Area, stretching out in towards Bowmanville and Kingston. Now, how much rain are we talking about? Widespread, less than 15 millimeters, but more if we do see those torrential downpours associated with a thunderstorm. Now stay with us here at the Weather Network. We're going to be cottage country. Those shots were from just around St. Mary's. Now, unfortunately, weather like this is going to be lingering around for the next few days. The risk of storms still going to be there in towards Thursday as well. And this is how much rain we are looking at. Widespread, less than 15 millimeters, but where we see these brighter greens, that's where we could be getting into the 15 to 30 millimeter range, and the risk of thunderstorms, that still is there as well, so this could be bringing even higher rain totals. Now, in terms of the temperatures, we are on the up and up. 24, that's almost seasonal. Good for you, City of Toronto, finally getting there. We have been into the low 20s. Seasonal is about 25, so 24 looking pretty good. The risk of thunderstorms, unfortunately, still lingering on. And then taking a look at the next 7 days. So again, the risk of thunderstorms still there for Thursday. Friday, seeing a very decent day, nice into the clearing. Take a look at the humidity really starting to build in. And then getting in towards Saturday and Sunday, unfortunately, it's an unsettled pattern. And we're going to... And the Arctic adventures in our top 5. Rachel Schoutsen here with you this evening. And yes, more top 5 coming up here on the Weather Network, and this is the weather that is coming up for Thursday. Well, we are taking a look at, unfortunately, some more rain lingering around for the Greater Toronto Area, a risk of storms, also fair conditions, pretty good out through the Atlantic provinces. Now